Welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance Lowe and Seth Hicks, your secret weapon to protect your assets and never have to start over financially again. Vance and Seth help high net worth individuals, families, business owners, and investors structure an asset-protected, tax-free fortress for their families. Learn how to keep what you earn and use the velocity of money to create your own private banking system. Join us on this journey as we explore the secret strategies of the rich and political elite and help you take total control of your financial security. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance Lowe and Seth Hicks. Vance, how are you?
I'm doing good and excited to pick up where we left off last time.
We've been talking about the initial processes, how to get started with private banking strategies, what goes on in philosophical transformation and learning the mechanics and architecture of private banking strategies, and which ultimately lead to an exploratory call, which is pretty much the step one part. What goes on in the exploratory call, Vance?
We listen to a lot. People have pretty much learned something about this private banking, that it's different, that it is cumulative. In other words, we're not spinning our wheels. We're not losing out the backside as fast as we're putting in. And through that process, we listen to your goals. And then we find out and review your financial life a little bit to find out how you can use the flow of money that's coming into your control better than what you're doing now. A lot of people, young, old, big incomes, no incomes, approach this strategy. And one of the questions they're asked is, am I too young for this? Or am I too old for this? And the answer is always the same. You're not too young, you're not too old. You have the advantage if you'll work this strategy for the time that you have left. And you can read in our book that, Seth, you can mention later on, how I come to find out about this, how angry and depressed I was of not knowing that this existed. So money-wise, some people have gone through an absolute bankruptcy or crisis or whatever, and they recognize that this is the out, this is the answer, but they don't think they have enough money. And so we go through what's called Find the Money process. We ask people to read a book called R. Nelson Nash's book, and in that book, there are laws that we have to defeat, and one of them called Parkinson's Law. And that law gets into consumption of money, take-home money versus what we consume, and the spreads that you have to have. Some cases, when we do the exploratory, we have to tell people, we need to back off for a little while until you get to a certain point. But in many cases where people think they don't have a chance at all of starting, we've already found the money and can show them how to move forward and go from there.
So interesting. Just out of curiosity, what are some of the places that people can find money that's more beneficial for their overall wealth curve? And where do you find some of those things? Where do you find some of that stored up money that people don't even see?
One of the things that are really misunderstood and not used properly are reoccurring loans, occurring things like HELOC, home equity line of credit. All of our third of our income is going down on the mortgage, and we're trying to get that to work for us. And we've been into it for several years, and we have equity in that home that's sitting idle. It doesn't earn us a dime. We encourage everyone, when they don't need money, to set up a home equity line of credit. And it's true. The banks out there, they'll lend you all the money you want if you do not need it. The second you need it, they put the clamps on. So it doesn't cost anything to set it up, maybe a little bit on a appraisal or something. Some do, some banks charge that, some banks don't. But you qualify for the maximum amount you can get on a home equity line of credit. Now we can put that money to work, and we can show and evaluate if we pull money out from there and paid off or bought debt, what is that flow mix? Is that worth doing? And at least 8 out of 10 times, maybe 9 out of 10 times, it's a no-brainer. Yes, you would want to do that. So there's a place to get started. 401k loans, if we've got an employer, we've got money in 401ks, that's an opportunity. Anything that we've got in those types of accounts, a lot of people think, I can't touch that because, number one, I'd have to pay taxes. Number two, I'd probably have to pay penalties. And it's hard for a guy like me to understand, you're still going to have to do that anyway. You're not going to ever have access to that money till you pay taxes.
The only thing that's going to change is early withdrawal penalties, which I
Yeah.
think you demonstrate pretty clearly, along with a number of other practitioners who are mathematically blessed, and show how those 401k funds out in the life insurance contract. And they have no taxation, no government control, no financial privacy loss.
If we can get and our minimums are 24% volume rate of returns on money at work, how long is it going to take to make back the taxes and the penalties when we're used to getting on average maybe of gross 5 to 6% in the markets in the 401ks, and it's totally controlled because we have no control. When we do have control and we get 24% or the averages are even above 50% volume rate of returns annually, that becomes meaningless. Why would we want to keep money tied up in government programs where they can change on whim and not put it in a private sector where the money absolutely disappears and legally you incur no taxable events once things get going? So that's how we find the money. And folks, will go through that. We'll tell you right up front whether this will work for you. You can begin and align with the goals that you have.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. There are other places that perhaps in the recent past metals went on a tear, but it's been pretty well going sideways for decades for the most part, and the spikes here and there. So in other asset classes, there are conversions, automobiles, personal property, farm equipment, other non-performing assets that people are dreaming about that think that's going to come through one day, and it doesn't. You implement those types of analysis to help people make an informed decision. Of course, you can hold on to a rock and take you to the bottom of the lake, but you can also let go and shoot to the top. And there are different strategies for wherever you are on the wealth board.
That's such a perfect analogy, that rock. I can't tell you how many times we've gone through analysis with people and emotionally they're attached because parents or something said, whatever you don't sell the land. And yet the land isn't producing for them. Nothing's happening. And if they sold it at the right prime market, now they could take money and they could double that every 2.5 years to 5 years and really create a family legacy. Where the land, they'd have no money at all and they could literally file bankruptcy and lose it. So there are all kinds of things that we can take a look at, and it just depends on the emotional ties to things versus doing correct things. It's important for us to take a look at that, have an outside view of that, and plan accordingly. Policies are another thing. A lot of people go into this understanding that, oh, this is life insurance or this is a form of life insurance, and that it is. But back in the day when it was created, they had actual banking contracts that formed or performed the banking function. And those accounts or those contracts can be recreated today exactly like that. They're different. They're designed to create the maximum amount of cash, available cash back in. We design contracts to get over 100% efficiency as quickly as possible.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel like you are generating a lot of revenue but are not moving forward as fast as you would like? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
As clients learn, they start to understand, they start to relax a little bit. There's some walkaways, there's some takeaways that I think should be discussed. What's called a preliminary opportunity map. That's the 8-year analysis. We set up and balance off of what I show someone in that test drive. And we learn the strategy, we learn how to set it up, we learn how to operate it, we learn how to switch from spending principal to never spending principal again. And then once we get to that point, now we'll take the preliminary roadmap and change it. And along the way, as we learn how money works, the vision of the money bank becomes real. Hey, if I could get my money moving and the volume of return building, I could easily start financing all the automobiles. I could do all the education. And when you get into it, the time that I've been into it, you get to a point, wow, now I can finance all the mortgages. And I'm doing self-banking. So this is where you want to be, folks. There's no such thing in self-banking when we hit what was known as retirement, because we don't believe in retirement. It's a government program. We believe in lifestyle changes. And at 65 or at 70, let's say that's $1 million or $5 million, whatever it happens to be. The age-old question is, am I going to outlive my money? That's not even considered in a private banking strategy, because whatever you walk into at that time, let's say you live till you're in your 80s or 90s, you'll check out at probably double or 3 times that amount. So if it was $1 million, you'll check out around 3 million. If it's 5 million, 10 to 15 million dollars will be in the accounts. It doesn't go down. It's because you're not spending money. You're using it and getting it back, and you're multiplying it. You're leveraging it. You've got all extended family members that come in. So little ideas we're throwing out. They're abstract, but it's all part of the vision that people start to gain. Wow, I thought I would be locked into my salary and just my existence the way it is. And that's not the case.
I think that's the discovery moment when people begin to take away and walk away with a clear roadmap and clear next steps and see how they're going to implement it. And then we like to say that even in this first steps of the journey, so to speak, you get the disciplines implemented and then you keep them, and you have to keep exercising the muscle. Lose it if you don't use it, right? Use it or lose it.
That's what's scary. And I'm seeing that over a long period of time. It is so simple. People don't appreciate the value. Everybody takes the path of least resistance. What's the hard part of this? It's letting go of how you've been using money and switching to the new way of thinking about money and using it that way. You need to have a banker's mentality.
That's right. And the banker's mentality is one where you think of, how do I get the money back? How do I implement a banking strategy that allows me to capture the velocity of money and bring me lift?
Yeah. How do I grow it? When we call these contracts that I mentioned earlier here, money warehouses, and each money warehouse is just so big. And pretty soon the money stacks up on the shelves and it starts pushing through the roof, and you've got to have another money warehouse. So it's a series of growth patterns, and it's fun. It's actually exciting. I wonder when I can get my next warehouse, my next contract, or whatever else. There's milestones that are really fun. I do want to mention that this is long-term strategy, folks. It's not short-term. A lot of people are so tied into the today. What do I get today? That they can't see financial security is built over time. So a lot of people get confused when they start learning about the banking, and we start showing them how a proper contract should be set up for longevity and long term. And then they see, and I like to call it internet pornography of the infinite banking concept. They'll try to say, oh, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. And if you're not doing it this way, you're getting cheated. Whenever you hear that or see anything like that, they're selling product. They're not helping set up a banking equation in your life. They're going to sell you a product. It may be tax advantaged, it may not be, because some of the claims that I hear out there are astronomical, so that they're not illegal. But as far as banking goes, they're totally unsecure. And for the future, the long term, nothing compares the way a properly structured contract will do for you.
And I think that mapping policy opportunities and how things will flow in a generational architecture and defining those long-term goals is super important, because you've got to know where you're going when you start to build something.
And so we help people do things that they've refused to do all of their life. If we can make it fun and interesting, people will do it. People know they're supposed to work off of a financial plan. You can't get to a destination without a plan. They're taught, or at least told many times throughout their life, that you should never spend principal. And there's what's called the law of 10%. In order to ensure and guarantee you're better off every single month than you were the month before. And through busyness or, again, resistance, we choose not to do those. And they are all part of the strategy, and it's easy. And you get the 8-year analysis. What we care about are the first 2 years. What do I do every month? I got to make sure I hit here. Easy, because you said it. It's not something that it was handed to you like at work. Hey, you have to reach these goals. No, this is what you want to do. The only thing we have to deal with is life. We get hit every now and then with a financial issue, job loss, windfall, whatever it is, and it might change things. But that's the beauty of owning your own bank. Where could you refinance a car loan with GMAC or Honda Finance if you needed to do so? We can't. They'll laugh at you. You may get someone else to buy the loan, but if you own the loan, if your family had a family bank and they owned the loan and you were making those monthly payments back and there was a hardship or something, that family bank would work with you. They could change the loan. They could completely refinance it. They could make it longer. They could make the payment less. They could do any number of things to accommodate the situation and not lose any money.
Folks, if this is resonating with you, if you want to hear more about it, go to our website, privatebankingstrategies.com. And at privatebankingstrategies.com, you'll have the opportunity to educate yourself until you're blue in the face, as we say in Texas. And there's over 160 podcasts. There's multiple blog articles that dive down into these issues. You can search the content for things that matter to you most. And most importantly, we're going to offer you a book, What the Banks Don't Want You to Know, Secrets the Banks Don't Want You to Know. And when you put in your name and email there, you'll have instant access to that book by PDF and audio. You can listen to it on the go. But more importantly, you'll have access to Vance's calendar in the emails that we send you announcing a podcast. And you can schedule an exploratory call and you begin to explore how this system will work for you, how you will benefit in the short term and the long term for you and your family, and how to set up a 100-year wealth strategy plan and private banking strategies. Vance, any other closing remarks?
We've got a lot more about this initial setup that we want to talk about, so please gear up for our next podcast.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next one, folks. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
Thank you for listening to the Private Banking Strategies podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available.